Welcome, everybody, to the One to Go show, presented by Dirt Track Supply. I am Puka. This is Ryan Aho. I hope you all, or we hope you all, had a great Memorial Day weekend. Ryan, how was Memorial Day weekend for you?
It was good. I actually played some golf, incidentally. Not real good at it, but better than I thought. I didn't play much and actually did pretty good. Watched a lot of racing, saw a lot of drama. I'm pretty fired up for the show. Let's just get to it, man.
A lot of racing this weekend. So once again, we want to thank everyone at Dirt Track Supply right here. So episode 82. We're going to figure out, did you figure anyone out?
M. Frethheim. You remember him? Late model guy, used to come from, I think he came from Iowa, and I got pictures of his car. For whatever reason, I remember it being kind of a tannish or brown car. I think he's from Iowa. He used to come up for Labor Day. I do have pictures of it, so I'll post it. Probably the only guy that I'll remember is Troy Powers, but that's my memory there. Who do you got that's 82?
I got a guy who I think I was with you, and he was over in this area in the late 80s, went to Proctor with you, Johnny Bay, Deadwood, South Dakota. So, and of course, when I lived out west, I got to see him a lot. And he was one of those guys in the early 2000s. He'd bring two cars. He'd end up at the USA Nationals. He even did some of the World Dirt Racing League stuff when they go to Menominee, Superior, either right after Cedar or right before Cedar for the USA Nationals. So got to watch him race a lot. Don't even know if he's still racing, but that's number 82 for me.
Yeah, I haven't seen him in a long time. I raced against him when I was out west, like at the Dakota Rumble, at the Aberdeen at the 10,000, the wind show. He was out there. Never really got to know him. And I'm really hoping I'm right on the M. Frethheim deal. I got to look back. I'll probably look at the picture. It'll be the wrong number, but I'm pretty confident on that one. But that was a good one, John Bay. He won some races out west. And again, Dirt Track Supply, Ron and Trevor, great people. Trevor, that close to a win. It's like he was hustling on the high side. Great race at Casino. Dakota Duke Erickson got her one first WISSOTA modified win. He's won some non-WISSOTA stuff in mods. First ever WISSOTA one. Great race there. And you know what they say, you live by the cushion, you die by the cushion. And he jumped it just one too many times, and he actually fell back to third, but still an entertaining race. He's fun to watch out there at Casino. And of course, Dirt Track Supply, they help so many people. If you need parts, you need service, you need advice, you need anything in the racing world, especially in that area, give those guys a call. I mean, they got a lot of experience. They'll take good care of you. But let's get to it.
Yeah, let's get to it for sure. So I watched that race too. Trevor led on all laps except the last 2 or 3. So get her next time, Trev. But so like I said, a lot to get to, a lot of racing over Memorial Weekend. So let's jump right into it. We're going to start with Granite City. Big race last night. Structural Buildings Challenge Series race. Pretty dry. Kind of a little bit of day racing in there. A little incident at the end. Jeff Mastergill walked away with the win. Probably should have been Travis Budislavich's. I guess we'll kind of start with you. That's kind of all I've got. Well, I've got something later on it, but I warmed you up a little bit. Where do you want to go with this?
Well, let's just start here because usually we start with the national scene and all that. We're just going to get to the good stuff right away, right? Because it was a debacle at the Granite City Motor Park. And Puka, we both watched that race. It was a late race incident. Travis Budislavich is leading. He got by Searing. He takes the lead. He gets into lap traffic. Now, he did push, right? He took 3 to go. He come into 1 and 2. He shoved the nose. Moss got underneath them. They come down into turn 3. Folks, you make the call. Racing deal. They come in. If you're a 31 fan, you have the same opinion as the announcer, like frickin' Moss monster trucked them. If you're a 2 fan, you're like 31 come down, okay? I don't have a horse in it. This is irrelevant compared to what happened next. But you can look at the tape. You decide. It was a racing deal, hard racing. I raced against both of them, more Moss than Budislavich. And me and Moss haven't always been best friends, but other than the time he carved me tried to win the national points, he's usually not that aggressive, so I don't think he intended to drive over him. But Puka, what happened next was mind-boggling because, so here's the deal. They make the call. They call it on the 2, okay? The official calls it on the 2. In both cars, he had to get push started. He got going. Moss went to the back, okay? So I'm out of that conversation. They called it on the 2. 31 gets the lead back. Massengill in second. what happened next. Take us through what happened next, and then I'm going to give you my take on what happened next.
Well, I don't really know what happened next. All of a sudden, I saw that Massengill is got the lead. You know, they're kind of going around and you know, yeah. You tell me. You tell us. I mean, like we just saw the incident here.
Simple.
You tell us kind of what happened.
So obviously, so you just hit the nail on the head. So they give Budislavich the lead. Next thing you know, they go green flag racing. Massengill's in the lead. Now, I'll be honest with you. Like, if I had to pick anyone to win that race, that's who I wanted to win. He's our guy. He's our local guy. He's our Hibbing guy. I wanted Massengill to win the race. Perfect. Couldn't have ended any better, right? I like Budislavich. I even get along with Moss now, right? You know, so I might ruffle a few feathers here today. In fact, that's kind of the intent. But the fact is, here's what happened. So, contact's made, okay? Now, in the history of racing, when contact is made, a good fan base, which is passionate, is going to get verbal. They're going to get excited. They're going to get fired up. It literally happened, and Moss was facing right there with some Budislavich people. Now, I keep seeing people from the Granite City Motor Park saying, he's responsible for his crew. First of all, that wasn't his freaking crew, okay? Just because they drove to the track in the hauler, they're not pit crew. That's his stepdad. He don't touch the car. He don't work on the car. That's not a pit crew, okay? Just because you go in the pits doesn't mean you're a pit guy, okay? It means you're a fan that paid more to go in the pits. That's all that means, okay? So he was not a pit guy. Budislavich is not responsible for a fan, okay, period. Now, so the fans, now I want you to think about this. Let's think logically, okay, on my opinion. And I'm going to go ahead and say this to not get our sponsors in trouble, but any opinions expressed here today are mine, okay? They're not our sponsors, okay? So don't come down on our sponsors. These are my opinions, okay? So if your car, you're a fan, if you're a passionate fan and your car is leading with 3 to go, contact is made, both cars got all tore up body-wise anyway, right? Instant reaction is like, screw that guy, right? I can't believe he drove over my guy. You're pissed off. And let's be honest. There's F words going, freaking idiot, jackass, learn how to drive. That happens. That happens every single night in the history of racing. When there's an altercation, the fan base, if your driver is wrecked and the other driver that causes is right in front of you, you're yelling at him. It's just the way it is, okay? Now, let's think about this for a minute. Both cars were raceable. They give 31 the lead back. If the track promoter would have shut his freaking mouth and stayed out of it, Budislavich wins that race, right? Plain and simple, because it was rubber down, right? Late model races all do. We'll talk about that later in the show. It was rubber down. Budislavich wins that race. It's over. It's over. The fans are now happy. They're like, yeah, I was mad at him for a minute. My guy won. Moss got put to the back. No big deal. They made the right call. It's over. But no, can't have that. Can't have that. No, they're yelling at Moss through the track, flipping him off, doing all this stuff. And here comes Trantina in a racing suit. Keep in mind, the Budislavich fans, the group with them, how the hell do they know that he's the track owner? Okay, I'm sorry, James, but not everybody knows who James Trantina is. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, you may think that. Not everybody knows who Ryan Aho is either. Okay, I don't care. You're a dude in a racing suit yelling at people through the fence. Plain and simple. So their instant reaction is they're pissed off because their guy got wrecked. Now you come up and you get in their face. What do you expect them to say? Dude, get the fuck out of here. Pardon my French, right? That's what they're going to say. Get the hell out of here. Like, whatever. Get the hell out of here. They're going to yell back at you. You went up there confrontationally to, like, for whatever reason, people yelling through the fence. Who gives a crap? That's racing. You should embrace that. If you're a promoter, you should be going, man, that's good. I want that. I want people to be doing that every single night. That's good for your track, right? But no, dude, he went up there so pissed off and in such a frenzy that he jumps off his ATV, doesn't put it in park. It rolls down the track, just about wrecks the field, right? It rolled almost into a race car because he didn't even like put it in park. He's up there screaming back and forth, and they're like, well, they're yelling at an official. Dude, you're in a racing suit. They didn't know you're an official, okay? Number two, even if they did know you're an official, you don't go up and confront people that are pissed off. Like, just leave it alone. Like, let the cars get back in order. Shut up. Let them get back to racing. Plain and simple. So maybe we need to go, we're going to call it the Granite City Golf Club. When your guy wins at Granite City from now on, that's what I want. I don't want no cheering, no yelling, no verbalizing, no passion, no nothing. In fact, when they announce your driver, I want you to sit there in the stands, and all I want is like that. You can't get passionate. It's illegal. It's not allowed at the Granite City Motor Park. You can't have it. It's not good. That is the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard in my life. So then let's go a little further, right? Buda has nothing to do with this whole deal, right? And he's going around, they're like 31, you get your spot back, and he's thinking, okay, cool, I get my spot back, I'm going to win the race. They holler over the headset, you're being disqualified, you're black flagged. All right, so he's going to stop on the front straightaway. He's going to be like, what in the hell are you talking about? Like, what are you talking about? Like, you give me my spot back, you put this other dude to the back, now you're black flagging me. I'm missing something here. So, and I know James, he's passionate, right? He jumps all over his grill. You're being kicked off the track, your fans, your crew, and this and that. And I talked to James today. He's like, well, he was lying. He said them people weren't his crew. He wasn't lying. They weren't his crew. They rode with him to the track. They bought a pit pass, but they don't work on the race car. That's not his pit crew, okay? So they kicked him off the track. He's pissed, and they're like, oh, we're going to, it's a possible suspension. I want you to think about this for just a minute. Imagine this is 1985 and they pull that shit with Tom Nesbitt. James Trantina would look like a raccoon today. Plain and simple. Can you imagine they did that with Ed Wakefield?
Darren
Murato, Lauren Inman. I mean, the list goes on and on. I'm telling you, 25, 30 years ago, you pull that stupid crap right there, you're getting 2 black eyes. It's plain and simple, right? I'm not saying I condone violence, but things are a little different now. Now all of a sudden, hey, I got all the money. I can be a dickhead if I want to, and I can talk to drivers however I want to, and I can do whatever I want because if you threaten me, I'm going to sue you. Oh, my God, I'm going to sue you. That's what you got nowadays. Everybody's so soft. Plain and simple. The racing deal was the racing deal. It happens. It's racing. They're racing for the lead, okay? The fans yelled at the driver that they thought caused it. That's racing. The whole problem in this deal was the track promoter putting his nose in it where it didn't belong. Let them yell. Let them scream. Let them flip that driver off. That's all part of it. Who gives a crap, okay? Now, if they're jumping out on the track and throwing punches, I've heard people say that, oh, they threw something onto the racetrack. Okay, if in fact that's true and they threw something at the 2-car, absolutely disqualify them for sure. I'm all for that. If that's the case, then they're 100% right, okay? But I talked to people that were specifically sitting in that area, and they're like, I literally didn't see nothing be thrown except for some middle fingers and some F-bombs. I don't know. And I've seen a lot of different posts today, and I've seen a couple of people throw that out there, but I really don't think that's the case. And if it is the case, okay, then by all means, 31, I get it, but even then, I don't really know because they're not pit crew. Right?
Yeah, just throw the fans out. You have security there. Get security there. Get them out of there. If they threw something.
So either way, the 31, if it was his actual pit crew and they threw something, by all means, kick them out. But I'm here to tell you, even if it was the pit crew and they're just yelling and flipping the guy off, that does not warrant what happened there. Absolutely ridiculous. And I'm here. You know who suffered out of this whole deal? The structural buildings with Soda Late Model Challenge Series, because they're already way down on cars. Your defending champ, AJ Demo, is not following the series. Hannested's not following the series. Jimmy Mars hasn't followed for a while. I figured maybe Sam Mars would. He's not. Chad Nader's not following the series. Provenzino's not following the series, right? So now it's like, well, who the hell do we got left? Right? We got like 7 or 8 cars. Well, after this whole deal, Buda said, I'm out. I'm not following the series, right? Pat Dorr, different situation. I did not see the incident. I saw him turned around. I don't know if that was a right call or not, but he's not following the series. Another guy, Kevin Eater, said he's having hauler issues. I expected maybe he'd follow it. He's not going to South Dakota. Puka, they're down to 5 cars. We're 1 week in to the structural buildings with Soda Late Model Challenge Series. We're down to 5 cars. 5. That's it. They're the ones who suffer on this whole deal. The call was It was ridiculous. Again, I'm happy as hell that Massengill got the win. That's great. Makes me look really smart having them up in the top 3 winning the Challenge Series race, right? But the fact is, Buda got robbed. And in the contact on the racetrack, immaterial, because the right call, in my opinion, was made. If you're a Moss fan, you don't agree. It's racing. Honestly, it was close. It really was. I watched it over and over, and Buda shoved the nose in 2, right? Moss got inside of him, drove underneath. Travis screwed up in lap traffic. He did. He lifted for the lap bar because he didn't know what he was going to do, and he shoved. Opened the door for Moss. That kind of, you can view it however you want, the contact getting into 3, but in the wrong here, James Trantina, let's be honest, Donkey Award of the Week, right? The Jackass Move of the Week goes to the Granite City Motor Park. Congratulations on your award. Puka, what do you got?
I'll tell you, we're 10 minutes into the show. Ryan's rant has already taken place. The Donkey Award has already been awarded. This has got to be a record. So there's a lot to digest there. Yeah, like I said, I can relate to the crew part. I used to see me in the pits. I used to go in the pits. I never got my hands dirty. I used to just go in the pits. Sometimes my wife and I would both go in the pits. Never got my hands dirty. Was never officially a part of a pit crew. We just
a guy with a visor, right? A flat bill guy knocking that. I don't believe it. Like, people would not believe you don't get your hands dirty.
So I can't even use a screwdriver. I don't even know which side to use. So, I exactly what you're saying there. Like I said, Moss, he didn't seem to pout after the call. I mean, he seemed, he it is what it was. And then what I was going to say earlier, I said I had something to mention. So it must have been Trantina. There was a side-by-side. Yeah, he was up there for a while, and all of a sudden a side-by-side took off out of the middle of the track and raced up, and Edgington missed him. For at least the camera angle, it looked like by a foot or less. And I thought, what is this safety? Maybe it was Trantina. I don't know.
There was nobody on the side-by-side.
Oh, he wasn't? Okay, so
no,
side-by-side did take it.
No, it was sitting on the top of turn number 2, and it rolled down the track and almost ran into Edgington's car because he just got off it in a frenzy and left it sit there.
Yeah, because Edgington had to dynamite the brakes, and I'm like, what is and it looked like he was barely moving, and this is daylight. This isn't even night racing. This is, the sun wasn't even down. And so I thought, holy cow, what is kind of going on here? So, well, yeah, what a way to kick off the Challenge Series.
Well, and Trentina's got a short fuse, right? He reminds me of me, right? Very short fuse. And it is what it is, right? I get it. Passion, I get it. I know it. I know how that all works. But the fact of the matter is, you're running the racetrack, you got to make better decisions than that, right? I'm just going to be completely honest with you. That was a fail, and he's going out there trying to backpedal today. And right, wrong, or indifferent, you don't, any track promoter out there, right? Even if you're an official, drivers, fans, they get heated, they get passionate. Don't confront anger with like confrontational attitude. It's just gonna make things worse. That escalated the situation. It didn't need to happen. Right, wrong, or indifferent, it would have been over. I'm telling you, like, if they give 31 the lead, like they did, they called it that way. The race is over. He wins. It's over. That deal, it never would have gone any further after that. And he made it go 10 times worse than it needed to. So as far as Granite City, Massengill got the win. John Canta, a pair of seconds in the Challenge Series this weekend. So great weekend for the Sheriff. Modified racing, I think Sobraski got her done. Dave Moss come back. He rebounded, won the Super Stocks. Really, who stuck out to me at Granite City, and she got second. So Zach Benson won. But I'm telling you, that 14-year-old chick, that 14-year-old girl, Kennedy Swan, Puka, she's legit. Like I'm talking like, and I'm not trying to be sexist when I say this, but I've never seen a 14-year-old period with that kind of car control, right? And then to think, well, that's a 14-year-old girl, and I get it. That's a little touchy-feely there on saying that, because it's just, there's not as many females racing, right? It just is what it is. But I'm telling you, like, that 14-year-old driver is impressive. I mean, she was good all weekend. She got third, probably should have had second up at Ogilvy. She actually was all over Zach Benson there. She is really fun to watch, and I don't know if you had a chance to watch her yet, But if you haven't, jump on a Dirt Race Central. Kennedy Swan, 18S. She is really good. Really good. She's going to win a bunch of races. I'm telling you, like, honestly, I don't think I've seen anybody with that much talent at that age. I guarantee you I didn't have that much talent at 14 years old. I can promise you that much. You know, hell, I don't know if I had that much talent when I quit racing. I mean, she's got great car control. Really, really fun to watch. And really, the track was as dry as it was. It wasn't horrible. The late model feature might have been one of the better ones. There was a little bit of racing. You locked down at the end. So, I mean, all in all, I think the racing was better than most, right? We'll get to that in a little bit. But
and they were, like I said, they were kind of trying to do the daytime thing, try to get people out of there at a decent time. So there was, you know, it was sunny, and so you know, so
normal start time. They start at 5, and I get it on a well, it was a Monday there, but typically on a Sunday they start at 5 too, because they want people to get out there. But what they don't get, what these track promoters don't get, is sometimes starting later makes the show go less. You still get done at the same time. You'll just have better racing, right? You know, because if you're trying to compete with the sun at 5 o'clock, we'll start the races at 6:30. You still get done at the same time because you're not watering every other race. And all the cautions and dust and all that. So, in my opinion, they need to start later. That 5 o'clock deal is way too early. I still think they'd get done at the same time, but that's just me. So, did you get a chance to watch anything from Ogilvy? They had the Mod Nationals there.
Not the Mad National. I just wanted to go back to the Challenge Series one more point. I was happy to see Becker over in Princeton. You know, we don't, you know, we used to, you know, or I guess, I don't know how consistently it was. I know the McDonald, you know, the elder McDonald, David, I think it is, you know, a few years, well, maybe it's been 5-6 years ago. He followed, so we got to see Williamson, but it's been some time since I've seen, you know, even a North Dakota car really come this way much for a Challenge Series race. So hats off to him for, you know, having some balls and making the trip over.
Yeah, he had a rough go of it, you know, but yeah, it was good to see. And it's really only because his tracks rained out on that happened. And Puka must have a call. You must not have on Do Not Disturb. That's okay.
No, I got her on Do Not Disturb. What the heck's going on there?
It's all good. So, yeah, it was good to see Becker come over. Of course, he went to Huset's last night. But we'll talk a little bit more about the Challenge Series in just a sec. So, in fact, let's just touch on that now. Let's just touch on that. So, we're down to 5 cars, right? They ran Friday at Princeton. They ran Saturday at Rice Lake. They ran Monday at the Granite City Motor Park. And I get it. Princeton has had such a rough go of it. Like, it rains every Thursday. Like, it just, they can't catch a break. Every single Thursday it rains. So it's a cowboy up track. It was rough. It was hard on equipment. And it just is what it is. Now, when the track's cowboy up, who wins? Darrell Nelson, right? So he went 3 in a row. He's the cowboy, right? I mean, he got her done. That was good to see. Rice Lake, I don't know, man. I just don't know what to say. I mean, it was one lane lockdown, and it was so bad at Rice Lake that they had a caution on lap 9 of the late model feature. John Canta stopped on the track, and I don't know that is exactly what happened. But all I know is immediately after that, they went single file on the restart. So I'm guessing he stopped and said, look, it's rubber, right? We can't go double file. And I don't know if he made that call or if Carson did. It was the right call, you know, but it was rubbered up on lap 3. Right?
I was going to say something about that because, they were lined up double file.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, they took a couple of laps and all of a sudden they went single file. So that's what it was. I was going to ask you about that.
Yeah, that's the rule. They go Delaware style unless it rubbers, and then they single file. Because if you get stuck on the wrong lane on the rubber, you're going straight backwards, you know, and if you watched it, everybody just gets in line. So I've been very critical, as everybody knows, of track prep. Just is what it is, right? I want an entertaining show. People are spending their money to go watch the races. They want to be entertained. If they're not going to be entertained, they're not coming anymore, right? They can sit home, watch races on TV. If a track is putting in a valiant effort and there's moisture in the track and they're really trying and they're doing different things to make it work, it's hard to be hard on them, right? Because it's like they're putting in the effort, right? Sometimes it's dirt track, right? Sometimes it gets away from you. Sometimes you can't. The wind comes, the sun comes. There's variables. I get it, right? But when it's the same disaster time after time after time, people get sick of it. And I saw fans even commenting, and they're like, this is ridiculous. And then people got defensive because family owns the track, and they're friends of mine too. But, you know, at some point you got to look at it and be like, all right, I watched the races. They really do suck. So clearly we got to do something different because this ain't working. And if you keep doing the same stuff over and over and it ain't working, that's a definition of insanity, right? So you got to do something different. And am I a track prep guy? No, but I know this, that if you start with moisture on the racetrack, right? And I'm not talking like you water the Walmart parking lot. It's still concrete, okay? It's still blacktop, okay? It's still rock hard. So you have to till it up. You have to have a little fluff. You have to have something that holds moisture. If you don't have it, you're going to have a dust bowl every single night. And I get it. Oh, we're afraid of the bumps. Who gives a crap? You can have a couple. I'd rather have a couple bumps in the track than lock down one lane rubber. At least the fans get to see a show, right? So now I'm going to ask you this, okay? Late models really seem to make track prep crews look really bad, right? And I talked to Cody Lee about this. He's like, it's not rubber for everybody else. In Rice Lake it was definitely rubber for everybody else. But there's a lot of times where late models go out there and they're trained up one lane, and then another class comes out, they're racing all over the place. Why on earth is WISSOTA late model racing so terrible? Is it the tire? I don't really know. It's bad. Like they have to have they got to have moisture in the track. They got to have a perfect track condition for there to be any racing at all. It is literally the least entertaining racing out there. I would way rather watch, and so would everybody else, according to the numbers, right? I'd rather watch the Stefan Street Stock Tour than late model racing.
They've been having some good racing.
It's way better racing. So with that said, the WISSOTA late models definitely make track prep crews look bad. But if you have shows over and over that are doing the same thing, for goodness sake, do something different. Put some moisture in the track. Disc the track. Don't be afraid to use a disc. Don't go a foot deep and make holes. Go 3-4 inches deep. Create some fluff, right? Make a cushion. Don't pack it in rock hard all week long. You don't need to do that. And we've been to enough tracks, Puka, that it just gets old.
Well, look what Superior did last year. Remember the first half of the year? People were complaining. They came on social media. They bought that Discer or something like that. Said, listen, you've complained. We've listened. We're going to address the problem. And I think fans respected that.
Yeah, exactly. And, Fergus Falls was terrible at the beginning of the year. Well, then they went out and they reworked their equipment. And next thing you know, the last couple nights have had some moisture. And for some classes, maybe a little bit too much moisture. But for the late model racing, they've been really good. So you got to have moisture in the track. Now, let's be honest. You don't want a swamp. You don't want a mud hole. You don't want it to be hammered on one lane. You don't want that either, because that's too hard on equipment. But having some moisture in the track to where you can work it, it's a good deal. Labor Day shootout, and then we'll get off of this subject. But Labor Day shootout 2 years ago, right? Up at Hibbing Raceway, 2 years ago, would have been 2019. Day number one, rubbered up 3 times, right? It was the typical Hibbing track prep. They just leave it bone dry. Rubbered up. It was horrible racing all night long. It was a joke. The program took like 11 or 12 hours. It was ridiculous, right? The next night, a couple of the board members says, we can't have this. We're just going to work on this thing tonight. And they took a scar fire, like a scraper blade. It's a grater blade that has like teeth on it, okay? And they graded down, they graded up, they watered it, they graded again, and they really got it in there, got moisture in the track. It was a little slimy. They probably should have had hot laps the second day, probably for the first 3 to 5 races, but they didn't have to farm it the whole rest of the night. There was moisture on the bottom, moisture on the top. It was the best racing I saw. Why? Because they worked on the racetrack. That's all we ask, right? As a race fan, I want to be entertained. And if you're putting together a track, that's not entertaining, you got to do something different, hire somebody different. I don't care, but what you're doing is not working. It's bad for racing. It's bad for the sport. And if you wonder why there's no fans in the grandstands, that might be a good place to look. Let's just be honest. So down at Ogilvie, so they had the Mod Nationals down there. It was supposed to be the Wisconsin Mod Nationals at the Gondiklah Speedway Thursday, Friday. Of course, that rained out or weathered out or whatever. And then they had Ogilvie on, it would have been Saturday and Sunday. Now, the first thing I'm going to point out is, I don't know how to say it without saying it, but Bemidji had more cars than the Mod Nationals.
Yeah, on Sunday.
Yeah. And yeah, exactly. So it's like, yikes. Okay. Yikes. That's not good. I remember when the Mod Nationals was 10,000 to win for the Mods. It was the Mod Nationals. It was a big deal. Now it's 1,500 to win. Nobody even knows what the rest of the payout is because they don't post it. Like I talked to Tardies today. They're like, we got 7th. I don't even know what we're getting paid. I mean, it could be 500, 300. We have no idea what we're getting paid, right? So you look at that, and I will say this: I don't necessarily always like dry tracks, but it was racy. I'm telling you, like Ogilvy did a really bang up job. There was a little on the bottom, a little on the top. There's some traction strips in between. It wasn't overly heavy, wasn't completely bone dry. Entertaining racing, really good racing to be had. And quite honestly, one of the races of the week was the modified feature on Sunday. Did you see that one? Jody Belfi, Dave Kane?
Yeah, I didn't get to finish it. I watched up to the point where Andy Jones spun.
Yep.
10 out of 10.
And the end of that race was incredible. I mean, they were swapping the lead back and forth, and I mean, it was good. And Kane's rotated so good on the bottom, and Belfi was good on the top, and they come across the checkered in less than half a car. Belfi got her done. Dave Kane got, last. Okay. Initially he got second, but he got dead last. So, Puka, let's talk about this, okay? So, Dave Kane's been struggling the last couple of years. It is what it is. And Arpin's got this new Longhorn by Lowenbro modified program. And that was kind of the big talk. Let's go get a Longhorn. They got a good relationship. Steve's a student to the game. Dave Kane's probably one of the most meticulous people I know, detailed guy. Well, let's just say that they tried to get a little creative down there at Longhorn, and the long arm of the law, Billy Engelstead, said, I don't think so, boys. You're disqualified, okay? Now, what did he get disqualified for? Well, the official verbiage is altered front stub, okay? I don't know all the details. I tried getting all the details on exactly what it was. One thing that I heard is they cut out the bottom of the cross member. They raised it up, right, for more clearance. There might be other stuff to it. I don't know, okay? Now, he got disqualified at the spot. I don't know if he's getting suspended. I don't know if he's getting fined. I don't know any of the details there, okay? But let's think about this. What should the fine be, right? What should the suspension be, in your opinion? Okay, so here's the options. You have a non-performance. They call it like a non-performance enhancing penalty. That would be like, you didn't have the wheel sticker on. Like you have a certified wheel sticker. If the wheel sticker falls off, you're disqualified, right? You're light at the scales, you're disqualified. A body infraction, you're disqualified. Now, on the flip side of it, if you port your heads out, you port and polish your cylinder heads to try to gain 100 horse or whatever, right? You're disqualified, but you're getting $1,000 fine, 30-day suspension, right? So there's two types of deals. There's one they consider a performance deal. There's one they consider a minor infraction. In your opinion, and then I'll get to mine, is that a minor or a major infraction? And what I'm talking about, altering the front suspension, the front stub, basically altering the front suspension.
So you're under the impression that Dave altered it, or is this just the way it came from Longhorn? Because I mean, I don't know how
much from Longhorn for sure. Okay, but let's be honest, Dave knew. Okay, there ain't nobody more meticulous and detailed than Dave. He knew, right? He knew. Did they know it's illegal? I don't know that, but he knew. He knew what the car is like because he knows there ain't nobody that's more detail oriented than him. Like I'm OCD, but he makes me look not OCD. Okay, so he knew, he knows what's going on with the car. So you're not a suspension guy, you're not a car guy. I'm gonna give you my take on this. Okay, a couple years back, Jeff Leon, Red Clay Classic, Ashland, Wisconsin. Okay, he goes out there, he blew up a couple motors in a row. He's in an A mod. He goes to the Red Clay Classic. He's not even in the transfer position, but he made tech. Goes across the tech that says spec 2450, which means spec engine 2450 minimum weight. Said that on the hood. They pull the hood off, and the tech guy from the track looks down at it and says, "Them aren't spec heads." He's like, "Yeah, I know, it's a B mod motor." Dude, he had a B mod motor in an A mod, right? So he put an aluminum intake in a 4-barrel. Let's just say it's 100, 150 horse less. So it's less power, significantly less power. Okay, so think about this for a minute. That's not a performance advantage. You're putting a B mod motor in an A mod. Was it the wrong sticker on the hood? Yep. So at the very least, they should call him disqualified for the race. You didn't have it labeled right. You're disqualified. No fine, no nothing. Dude, he got a $2,000 fine and a 30-day suspension from WISSOTA for having a B mod motor in an A mod. Now, let's talk about the 2C. Okay. Now, is it fair to say, and I think you can get this one right because you're a fan, you watch a lot of racing. Is it fair to say that 80% of the time or better, the tracks are pretty much dry?
Yeah.
Okay, we agree on that. So the tracks are typically dry. I think we bitch about that all the time. They don't water them ever, so obviously they're always dry. So if they're always dry, the one thing we want is more grip, right? We want more traction. We want the car to be able to stick to the racetrack. So drivers and chassis builders have been working for years. How do we get more rear grip? How do we get more forward bite? How do we get more side bite? So they're getting that. They're getting the rear end of the cars to work really good. But then what happens? Well, then it's a stock front stub. It's a stock front stub, stock front clip with literally you can do whatever you want with the upper A-frames, ball joint heights, but it's pretty much a stock front clip. So they're trying to get it to roll over on the right front. They're trying to get the front to have more grip. Why? Because if you put too much grip in the rear of the car and the front doesn't hold the racetrack, you know what's going to happen? You're going to shove the nose. The car ain't going to turn. You're going to lose everything you just gained. So what they're doing now is they're trying to get more front grip, more front grip, more front grip, more front grip. So that way they can add more rear grip, have more overall grip in the car, and get the car to rotate and launch. I'm here to tell you, the 2C bolted. That thing was incredibly fast, okay? Now, do I know for certain that what they did is a huge advantage? I don't know. Okay, I don't know that. I don't even know exactly what they got disqualified for. But I'm going to tell you this. Do you think that a chassis builder is going to get all creative and do all this different stuff with the front stub if it doesn't make a difference? You think they're going to be like, well, we just want to put a lot more work into it just cause. We don't, it ain't going to do nothing. It ain't going to gain nothing. We're just going to put more work into it, okay? So what is more of a performance advantage? A B mod motor and an A mod, or adding front grip to the car and making it steer better so you can add more traction? Which one to just a casual fan would be more of an advantage?
I think it's pretty obvious there with 150 less horsepower, or a car that rotates and turns better.
I'm just saying, right? Even let's even go one step further. If somebody today in the track is bone dry top to bottom, you can't get traction, they add 100 horse. For some people, that's even a disadvantage. So this is clearly a gross violation of the rules, right? In an attempt to make the car have an advantage. In my opinion, and I don't care what WISSOTA does, that's on them. They can make their own decisions. But if Jeff Lynn got 30 days and $2,000 fine for running a B mod motor and an A mod, do I need to say any more? All right.
Well, Kane got a big break.
Yes and no. He knew what was up. Go ahead.
Kane got a big break. We've got all these big IMCA and USMTS races coming up this way. I think it's this month, right? So he could take his 30-day suspension, still race like crazy. He's like, maybe he outfoxed everybody.
Maybe. And I don't even know that he's going to get a suspension, to be honest with you. Like, he might just get WISSOTA's got this deal where you can pay a double fine, right? And I don't even know if he's getting fined for this deal. I have not. I tried to get that information today, wasn't able to connect with anybody. But WISSOTA has a deal where you can pay a double fine. So literally, you and I could go out, Puka, right? And we could both have like a gross violation of the rules, right? Whatever it is, it could be a gross violation of the rules. And you might be like, I don't really have a lot of money. I'll just pay the regular fine and sit my 30 and go race elsewhere. Or I could have a bunch of money and say, well, I'm just going to pay double. Well, that don't make sense. So now a person with more money can cheat because they're not really owed anything? Come on. Come on. That's just stupid. Think back. Remember Daryl Nelson? Daryl Nelson got he got suspended, right? Or I think they ended up paying double fine so he could race, but he lost all his challenge series points when they left the rev chip out of the MSD box. And it was a mistake. I get it because I know Daryl. It was definitely a mistake. But this is worse than that, because that was like hey, I don't even look at it like it wasn't in there. I guess, yeah, I'm disqualified. But this year is like, no, we're definitely reworking the front stub to gain an advantage. Yeah, I ain't making any friends with that comment, but it is what it is. Facts are facts, and if you don't like it, don't cheat. I don't really know what to tell you. I can promise you, Puka, if that would have been me, I would have had a 30-day suspension, $1,000 fine. Like I said, why? Maybe a little bit of a big mouth. I don't really know. I didn't really make friends with the tech guys, but I can assure you this: like I've seen them suspend people for a whole lot less than this. So it'll be interesting to see what happens in Wissota. Now, there was a 30-day suspension in Wissota as well. Again, tip of the cap to the tech crews in Wissota. I got to be honest. Usually they're only teching wheel stickers, wheel openings, sail panels, nothing important. But a guy over in Alexandria, Castriba, in the street stock come from 23rd to 5th, and he had everything was wired wrong. I think they did it on purpose. That's just my opinion. But there's a rev chip that can only let you turn so many RPMs. And he had it set up in such a way so that he could disconnect that and not have a rev chip, and he got caught. So I don't know. So he got suspended for that, and that's not even as big of a deal as what we're talking about here. So
let me ask you this: does anyone else in the area have one of those Longhorn mods?
Paul Harles did.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
Harley got a brand new one. Now he's out for a while, so he ain't quite as competitive. But I'm guessing that one's going to be heading right back down to Charlotte. Maybe they can get a deal through a freight company and haul them both at the same time. I'm not really sure how that's going to work out, but needless to say, they're coming down on this, across the country. I know that Nick Hoffman through Elite was really pissed off, right? I had a friend that kind of talked to somebody affiliated with him, and, Longhorn took a couple of their drivers, and it's like, all right, and let's be honest, I think he probably stretches things, and that's what chassis builders do. They stretch things. They're always trying to gain an advantage, but the fact of the matter is, you can try all that stuff. You can try to gain an advantage, but when you get caught, don't be whining if they throw the book at you. Should they throw the book at you? Probably. To make an example out of people. People are spending way too much money with these cars down from the Charlotte area. Maybe they throw the book and they'll think twice. I mean, it's not complicated. Stock stub means stock stub. Listen, I mean, it's not complicated. If you just put it together properly, stock is stock. That's just the way it is. So let's get off of that stuff here a little bit. Where did you go racing? I know you went to a couple races this week. So did I. We both went to Grand Rapids. They had the NLRA late models there. Great field of cars. Pretty good field of cars there. What was your overall take? What stuck out to you over at the Downinger Automotive Grand Rapids Speedway?
Yeah, it was good to be back. First race of 2021 for me. Just a few notes here. So the Northern Renegades decided this year to put the wings on for at least some of the races. I don't think all the races, but some of them. So the sprint car racing I thought was pretty good. I was pretty impressed with that crew. This Mike Gresseth ends up, clean sweeping. So congrats to him, rookie. That was great. But how about the last 7 laps or so with Edgington when he was really getting sideways? Did you talk to him? I have never seen a guy. It's like, did his tires just go away? I mean, that was incredible. I mean, guys behind him were checking up like this guy's, he didn't. He kept it straight every time. But what was going on there?
I really don't know. I mean, yeah, he was coming in and like the car would break loose and he would skate all the way across the track. It's like he was way over driving it. My thought is he was probably too tight. And if he tried to just rotate it in, car probably wasn't going to turn very good. So he probably had to slide it, and hope it would catch so it would rotate. That would be my guess. Brad Sang gave that one away. I talked to Brad. He got the lead. They got into lap traffic, and it kind of locked. Well, not kind of. It did lock down about less than halfway through, and he went to go to the outside of the lapper, and he's like, Ryan, what the hell was I thinking? He goes, I've been racing long enough. I mean, then it locks down on the bottom. You don't go to the outside of the marbles, try to pass the lap car, and Gresseth, the rookie, right, he snuck by him and kind of out-snookered the veteran there. So, and then Gresseth, just so you know, he went up to the River City Speedway on Friday, and he made the boys look dumb. I mean, he started third row. And he drove by everybody and just put an absolute ass kicking on them up at the River City Speedway. So double up this weekend. A race that I thought was pretty good was a Mod 4 race. Them guys been begging, oh, come on, we got to get more Mod 4s there. They had a good turnout of cars, and that Tommy Bowden, he's got like 8-9 wins on the year already.
Yeah.
Pretty impressive race. So, overall it was nice to get a race underway up there in Grand Rapids. Track wasn't the best. It really wasn't. You know, it was kind of one lane on the bottom. But with that said, the sprint cars cleaned it off, right? The sprint cars, it was really wide. In hindsight, you know, we talked they should have watered middle to high, and it would have been probably a really good late model feature too. They didn't. But last year, it's a complete 180 because it was so rough at the opener last year. They had to cancel after heat 3. Right. So it was definitely better than that. At least it got to race. So it's an improvement. And, you know, hopefully they can just move forward from there. You know, and, you know, then you went to Hibbing. You know, I'll lead into that. I did not go to Hibbing. I went back to Illinois. But what stuck out to you from the Hibbing Raceway opener?
All right. Well, I'm sold on the Batwings. You know, I've heard about Batwings. You know, I live, 4 blocks from the Grand Rapids track. Every year during the fair, they have 2 nights of racing. One night, you know, was like the normal program, and then they always have another program with certain classes, and then these Batwings, you know, and I was so impressed. You know, they come out there and I'm like, you know, what, you know, all of us, we're all up in the booth there. My dad's there, and some friends and their kids and my brother, and we're looking at and they started whipping around. I mean, they said they clocked them at 77 miles an hour. And what was really impressive is they had 4 cars from Iowa. When was the last time the Iron Range Racing Association promoted an event? Because we're not talking the Outlaws, you know, but you know, we used to get Iowa cars, but they had 4 Iowa cars. Then we went to their webpage and they've kind of got this series going. So I thought, and then a buddy of mine looked up some of the prices, like $9K for a roller, $7K for a kit car. And I thought 8-inch wheels. And I don't know, maybe, you know, can you run on a set of those tires almost all year?
I literally know that. I don't know anything about that class.
Okay, they're pretty dang. It's kind of like what Joe Bravo races down in Mississippi Thunder, but yeah, really impressive. I'd like to see more of those races. I'll probably go to the ones when they come to Rapids. 7:45 was intermission. 8 o'clock the feature start. We were done with the program at 9:20, which included they did a female enduro winner take all. They ended up with 2 cars. But they kind of did. The one girl blasted the other girl, so it was kind of fun. And then the big part of the night was the return of Harry Hansen. He didn't have much. We saw him sitting in corner 2 for a caution. I didn't see it, so I don't know if he caused it, if he just went around, or if he had some help. But so you know, I'm sure they got some bugs to work out. But he kind of sat in the back there. But pretty good late model race there with you know, Vessel checked out. We thought, well, Vessel's going to win, but then Peterlin tracked him down, pulled out to a big lead, and took the victory there. So yeah, it was a decent night. You know, cold. You know, it's like Thursday was cold. It was pretty. Of course, we were in the booth. We were lucky we turned the heat on, but pretty chilly night. Crowd was okay for considering the cold and Memorial Weekend and not running a lot of the normal classes. So it was. I think it was a pretty decent opener for him.
Yeah, and Kyle Peterlin getting the win. That's pretty cool. Vessel kind of backpedaled, huh? Vessel started front row, slipped back to 3rd. I saw that Van House was 2nd. So yeah, you know, it's good to have both tracks getting racing underway. And like you said, with all the specials coming on, it's like, you know, they were even questioning whether or not they were even going to have a race. So I'm glad they did. I went to Sycamore, Illinois, and Sycamore Speedway. I was helping a buddy of mine, Dave Dolchek, and I'm still pissed off, Puka. I mean, he got 2nd. Unacceptable. He got 2nd in the heat, 2nd in the dash, 2nd in the feature. I'm not over it yet. You know, racing is supposed to be fun. It's not. Winning's fun. And, you know, he was disappointed, which I'm happy. Like, if you don't win, you should be mad. Like, if you're not first, you're last. And if you don't agree, watch Talladega Nights. It is what it is. Had an okay hot rod. But you know what stuck out to me? So Travis Denning, by the way, he won the late models. The crowd at that place, Puka, is unbelievable. I mean, it's absolutely unreal. I mean, just regular racing, couple of heats of everything, right? They had late models. They had a limited late model, a street stock, and like a hobby stock, pier stock type deal. So all they had, 4 classes, couple of heats of everything. And they had, I don't know, somewhere 13, 14, 1,500 people in the Grand Prix. It was jam-packed. I'm like, I don't even believe it. Because in my opinion, no, the track surface was pretty good. There was some grip on the bottom. There was some cushion on the top. You could race. I was pretty impressed with the track conditions there. But, I mean, the program wasn't anything extravagant. The one thing that sticks out, though, is there's not another dirt track within 2 hours of the place. There it is, right? So what does that tell you? So if you look at Wissota country, there's a racetrack it seems like every 15 miles down the road. There's tracks everywhere, right? You look over in Wisconsin with Menominee, SK, Mississippi Thunder, you know, Eagle Valley. I mean, there's like 4 freaking tracks that race on Friday. They're all on top of each other. That's a recipe for disaster. This here's a recipe for success. You don't even have to have the best, most entertaining program in the world. You don't have to have the top-notch cars. There's more open trailers at this track than I've ever seen in my life, except for way back in the day, right? So it's kind of like a Bemidji atmosphere, right? Is kind of how I would put it, kind of that laid-back type deal.
Yeah, casual, sure.
Yeah, not a huge dollar deal, but the fans are passionate. They're all cheering. They're all excited. It's just crazy. I'm like, so sometimes less is more. I'm not saying which tracks need to close down, but I'm just saying some tracks probably need to close down, right? I mean, if there's way too many tracks in the area for the cars and the fans that we have. Some tracks would be a lot more successful if they didn't have 7 other tracks to go to, and they might not even be on the same night. I mean, you're in our area. If you live kind of not now, but in the Iron Range, Duluth area, you can go racing Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Thursday's at one night, Fridays you can within a couple hours you can go multiple tracks. I mean, Saturday there's a bunch, Sunday there's a couple different options, 3, to be exact. Too many races. There's way too many races. I mean, everybody up there is getting 5, 6, 7, 800 people in the grandstands, and they got late models and they got all these big purses, and I don't get it. It was flabbergasting to me, but it was
how many classes?
4.
There you go. 4. Hear that, promoters? 4. Okay.
4 classes.
Not 14.
4
just
classes.
4.
Yeah, and the Mod Nationals was only 4 classes this weekend, which was good. I thought it was normally they're going to have 8 classes at these stupid specials or whatever, but they had 4, which was good. So, the fan question of the week, is we'll go back to the late models. Fan question of the week from my buddy Keith. And he says, why has the late model racing been so bad? Why has it been so? I mean, for the most part, there's been a couple races that are pretty good. The NLRA race at I-94 was pretty good. But for the most part, the late model races have been horrible. And I think maybe it comes back to the tires. You're going to have to ask the drivers. I don't know. Them fat tires, maybe it's a compound of the tires. They just seem to migrate to one lane over and over and over again. And when we're watching street stocks and B mods and super stocks, and they're way more entertaining, right? Bat wings than late models. Yeah, I mean,
that finish at Hibbing, the top 4 cars anyone could have won on the last lap because they're really narrow, they're small, so they can really bunch up, and then they just bolt on. And it was like, holy cow, who's going to do it here? But getting to your tire thing, you mentioned it earlier, and when you said to think about this, that was the only thing I could think of too. And I guess the racers probably won't like to hear it, but back in the 90s, when you raced late models, didn't you have 3 compounds, like a 10, a 20, and 30 or something like that?
Well,
obviously.
Yeah, there was different compounds in late models and in super stocks mods. We had, the A, H, and D. There was different compounds. I think that made for better racing. And I think the tires were actually made of rubber then too. So there was something to that. They're really synthetic now. In fact, I remember back in the day, if I got a cut in the sidewall, we'd go to Firestone in Hibbing. They'd vulcanize the side of the tire. I'd run another 6, 7 nights. Now you don't. Oh yeah, you'd run that thing a long time. Now you don't want to rate your tire more than once. I mean,
right.
Oh, not if you
well, look at the show me. Clanton, when he took the lead, I don't know about lap 8 or 10, he just blew by. I don't know if it was T-Mac or Owen's lead, but it had to be the tire thing because then he faded. But he was just a rocket for a few laps. But of course, that with them, there's all kinds of different tire combinations, and it does make a
cool deal because that's a different variable. I don't know if that's good, bad, or indifferent because next thing you know, you got a whole garage full of tires. You're like, this may be a good deal, but Wissota needs to wake up on the tire deal, and somebody's got to have a backbone, right? So they just do because Hoosier's raking them over the coals. They just raised the tire prices again. They're putting out a terrible product. Everybody knows it. Everybody involved with racing is pissed off about the tire. I don't care if it's Wissota, IMCA, I don't care, right? The fact of the matter is they need to create a tire that takes away the performance advantage of the checkbook, right? What do I mean? I don't care if the tire, it could grip like terrible. I don't care. As long as it acts the same for 4, 5, 6 nights. Right. That's what you're looking for, repeatability, so you don't have to put on new tires every night. And they don't have that right now. Now they have an overpriced tire that lasts one night, you throw it away, or you can't compete. And so back to the late model deal, that's part of it, but I don't know if the late model deal, the tires, I don't know if they got one compound where I really don't understand it. Gonna have to talk to a late model guy. But, and late model guys would be like, what do you mean? The racing ain't bad. It's like, no, watch yourselves. It's terrible. I mean, there's like no passing in the late models. Tracks got to be perfect. They got to have multiple lanes with grip because them big fat tires, they sniff out the traction. Even if you watch the Lucas Oil or World of Outlaws, right? I mean, I don't even know how many times it just gets trained up. In fact, at the show me this weekend, I don't remember who it was. I have to go back and look. But on the prelim night, it was like 2:00 in the morning, right? The one driver got interviewed after winning the heat, and he says, the track's got some character, which is good because if the track doesn't have character, then it's just one lane, everybody just follows. At least with some character, you can race, right? So that tells you right there, if you're a driver and you're like, well, I don't like choppy tracks. Well, everybody else does, so you can actually pass somebody. Nobody wants to see train racing. So, and we don't want to see 2-foot holes where people are destroying shit. I had a race car. I was always broke. I don't want to be destroying stuff, but a little chopping, a little character, and a little attitude, it just makes for better racing. If you make it too hard, then it just gets one lane and marbles up. That ain't no good. So track prep, I think it comes down to we got what we got for tires. The only variable is the track. And to have good late model racing, you got to start with the track a little slimier. It just is what it is. So that way, and even if you got to farm it at intermission, go back out, farm it up, slime it up a little bit, go race. You got to have some moisture in the track. There's got to be multiple lanes or it's just going to train up. So that's my take on that. Another thing here, I'm looking back at my notes. So that is the question of the week from Keith, right? But I got to look back here. Oh, here we go. There was a lot of specials this week, Puka. A lot. Okay. We had the Mod Nationals. We had the Challenge Series, right? We had the Steffes Street Stock Tour. We had the NLRA. We had the Memorial Day deal up in Ashland. I want to ask you, you're a fan. You're looking from the fan's perspective. What makes a special in your opinion? Okay,
I got 3 things that I'd like to highlight here. Something would be, uniqueness. So say today, Aberdeen says, we're going to do a 125 lap late model race. We're going to do one pit stop in the middle. That would be something that would interest me. That would be unique. So the uniqueness of the event. Number 2, the David versus Goliath. That's where the UMP Summer Nationals used to be really cool because, they used to time trial. And I think it was the top 12. They didn't run a heat. They went right to the dash. They're automatically qualified. They would just duke it out. Then they'd run the heat. So the little guy kind of had a chance. He'd go in a heat race and he didn't have to race against Auckland or Moyer or Freddie Smith or, whoever, so he kind of, and that was pretty cool. So I kind of like the David and Goliath aspect. And then just the Travelers. I mean, did you watch Huset's?
I did.
I mean, the announcer, a guy, Jesse Glenn's from Chippewa Falls. This guy from, Renner, South Dakota. This guy from Omaha, Nebraska. This guy from Iowa. And this is a heat race. And it's like, oh my gosh, this is freaking awesome. So Travelers, David versus Goliath. You see if you can compete. And then, like I said, if there is some format that is, I don't know what it is, but, there are times, like that big mod race that used to be held out in New York, that 250 lapper, in upstate New York. I mean, that's pretty cool. So how about you? What kind of comes to mind for you?
Yeah, I think, it comes down to me, I would say the getting drivers from different areas, right? When I see these specials and it's basically all your drivers plus 1 or 2 guys, to me, that ain't special. That's a glorified regular night. I mean, back in the day, if a track rained out, you'd get that on a regular night. Hibbing would rain out, bam, Rice Lake or Ashland or Cedar Lake, they'd have a few Hibbing cars go down there. And that's kind of what the specials are now. It's their regular cars plus a few other people. What I don't like about some of these specials is they pay a little bit more, which is all fine and good, right? But they ain't paying like extravagant. It's not like it was $10,000 to win, right? But then all of a sudden they got, pay for parking and pay for drop fee and pay for this. Hats off to the ABC Raceway in Ashland, Wisconsin, the Memorial Day deal. Puka, I don't know if you saw this. No drop fee, no pit parking fee, and the drivers got in free. They went above and beyond. They got a sponsor, and forgive me, I should know the sponsor's name because this is a cool deal, but they went above and beyond, and they solidified a sponsor, right? to eliminate all them extra fees, because that's what keeps people away from going. It's like, yeah, I know I can make this kind of money, but my God, it cost me $150 to enter. Just going down to, the Mod Nationals in the modified. I was talking to John Tardy. It was $50 to draw, $40 pit pass. It was $90 to even enter the event. And I look at that, I'm like, that's just wrong, right? That's, people bitched about the Challenge Series all the time. It used to be in the Challenge Series, Buka, typically $40, $35, which is too much for a pit pass to get in, and it was $100 draw fee. Okay. So it was like $135 to even enter the event. It's $150 or $200 to start the feature. So by the time you get done racing, I think it's $200 to start the feature. So you have, by the time you just pay for fuel and entry fee, you had to get up to like 12th place to even make $1. It's stupid, right? So it makes no sense, right? So for me, it's really I like the David versus Goliath, right? But I also like the top guy versus a top guy versus a top guy versus a top guy. So like a prime example of that, and I think the best example of it last year was the Sites Memorial up in River Cities. They had representatives in the late model feature, or in the late models, from like in our One to Go Show Power Rankings region. We had 6 different areas, and I believe they had representatives from 5 different areas in that race. That was exciting to me, because I want to see the top guys from this area versus these ones versus these ones versus these ones. That to me is appealing. If it's not that, it's just not appealing. So that's one thing. But another thing are all these so-called watered down specials, is it really good for racing? Is it hurting the sport?
Yeah, yes. And before I answer, I just want all the fans to know, please comment on what's special for you. And then promoters, you can go and see the comments and see what the fans are really looking for. But yeah, these obviously these specials are hurting, regular weekly racing. Go to Hibbing and plucked out a couple of late models there, and other tracks obviously got plucked out a couple of late models and what have you. And they had no modifieds this weekend. They had no Midwest modifieds. And like I said, back when the Challenge Series started, I remember that was the rule: was you could do a Challenge Series race, but it had to be during the week. Could not do it on the weekend. And then when Volts did his Rumble stuff back in like 2008, that's when they incorporated in weekend racing. And everyone says, well, late model racing is just going to become, like a traveling series. Well, that's kind of because Wayzona's allowing it, or it's almost, if they would stop the specials on the weekends, guys would have to race local a little bit more. What do you think?
It's not, though, because they're not traveling, right? The only guys that are traveling in late models are the Wisconsin group, and the reason they're traveling is they don't have any tracks to race at, right? All they got is Menominee and Cedar Lake, so if they want to race more, they have to travel. They don't really have an option, or else race just a handful of times a year. That NLRA group up in Grand Forks, they don't leave their area, right? The Iron Range group, for the most part, except for maybe Massengill, occasionally Provo and Vessel, they don't leave the area, right? So the South Dakota group, it was cool to see Becker come over. Well, let's be honest, he came over because Aberdeen and Miller both rained out, or he wasn't coming. Because Miller had a tri-state deal on Saturday. Aberdeen's his home track. They both rained out. Otherwise, he wasn't coming, right? So that South Dakota group, now, they don't travel. Even like this weekend, right? So this weekend you got, listen to this, okay? This is just mind-boggling. You got 4 nights of structural buildings with Wayzona Late Model Challenge Series racing. You got Huron on Thursday, Aberdeen Friday, 10,000 to win at Huron on Saturday, Watertown on Sunday. The NLRA late models have 3 shows, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay. Cedar Lake, Menominee, and Hibbing are all racing, right? Then you add in, they got the Lucas Oil MLRA stuff this week, and I believe that's at both Deer Creek and Mississippi Thunder, right? Everybody's going to stay home. So you look at all these, it's going to be like the tracks are just paying way more money to get the same people they were going to get anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel bad for Orv, right? I do. He's putting $10,000 to win out there in Huron, and he's going to get the South Dakota cars plus maybe 5 others. That's it.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Now, with that said, there's some really good late models out there, and the 5 that are going there are really good late models. So it's going to be a good race, But if I see a 10,000 to win race, I want to see that group, and I want to see Strand and Edgerton and Sang, and I want to see them go, and I want to see Peterland and Vessel and Jake Kittner and Bravo and Massengill, them go, and I want to see Giassi and Glens and Gore and Kanta, Radetsky, them go. I want to see Moss and Shaw. I want to see all the different regions represented. I want to see the top guys versus the top guys. You just don't get that. You want to know where you do get that? The Steffes Street Stock Tour.
Sure.
I'm telling you, it's unbelievable. Like, I'd literally never, up until a couple of years ago, I'm like, street stocks, I'll skip it. I'll go to the concession. If that's where you're at right now and you're skipping the street stock races, you're making a mistake, okay? Because most nights, it is by far the best racing. It ain't even close. They had I don't remember the exact numbers, but it was in the 40s, right? All 3 nights. And I'm telling you, it was side by side, action packed. I mean, it was really good racing. Really good racing. And they get the best from everywhere. They got the best from Wisconsin, North Dakota, Minnesota. All the top guys are racing head to head in that series. That's what I want. The Super Stock series gets that too. And they get a good car count. All the top guys race against each other. So that's fantastic. That's what makes it special to me. Back when you went to the Labor Day shootout, there's 6-7 heats of everything, right? Or you went to the, when you went to the Wissota 100, there's over 100 of everything. Yeah. You knew you were going to get some very good cars. And quite frankly, there were some very good race cars that loaded up watching features.
Sure.
That's exciting. Now it's if you're good at all, half these places, I don't think the Rice Lake Show might have had over 24 for the Challenge Series, but they had 21 at Granite City, and I think they had 18 at Princeton.
Yeah, well, remember the Legendary last year? They had, 18 one night? And I think that the Hannistons had to come. They had to get them out of call them up to get 20 or something. So, and it was 3,000 to win, or a couple of prelim nights for what? I can't remember exactly, but we went over and it was decent. It was this is kind of decent, and they're just not showing up.
Exactly. So, Puka, let's get into some who's hot and who's not. Okay, let's get into that right now. Who do you got? Give me 3 drivers that stick out to you. Who's hot?
Yeah, some pretty good weeks. So Bobby Pierce, he took down the flow racing night in America. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
On Wednesday night, and then he got a second on Thursday at the Show Me. So he seems to be kind of coming around. Richards, big win on Friday at the Show Me in one of the prelim nights, and he got third on Saturday. He led laps. That was interesting. 5 leaders at the Show Me. In a crown jewel, that's pretty rare. So, so I think Richards kind of heating up, and then Dorr finally got his win, looked a little bit better, and even Bishop. We've been kind of dogging on Bishop, so I wanted to throw him in there. Looked a little bit better this weekend at the Show Me. How about you? Who you got?
And Bishop, a fourth, second, and a first on the weekend. Okay,
yeah, so
who else won this week? And I don't know if you saw it, but Jimmy. See, when Bishop wins, Jeff told me if Bishop wins, Jimmy Owen wins. Well, Jimmy Owens won too. He won. Was it yesterday or whatever? He won the.
Oh, did he?
At 4-1 the Spring Nationals. So both of those two have been struggling. Owens was mid-pack or whatever at the Show Me, but he got a win. So who's hot for me? Parker Anderson in the street stocks, 8 in a row, and he has won 11 of his last 12.
Smoking.
Flat out on fire. Now he admittedly got a gift on the last one, right? Because the rain delayed it. Justin Vogel, who's been lacking wins, he ain't won all year, drove around them, got the lead, yellow come out, started to rain, race over, had to throw the checkered. Parker Anderson got the win. So when luck is on your side, that wave, Parker Anderson, absolutely dominating right now. Daryl Nelson got 3 wins in a row. Then he got a 4th, I believe, and I don't recall how he did last night at Granite City because there was so much other stuff that got my attention. But for a guy that 0 wins last year, right? He had a pile of podiums with 0 wins, and he got 3 wins in the last 5 nights here on the Hermantown Hammer, red hot. And rookie Mike Gresseth, and so we talked about his pair of wins, but it was far above that. So the opening weekend doubleheader at I-94, he got a pair of 4ths. He looked really good there. He got 3rd and was hunting down 2nd at the NLRA opener at the I-94 Speedway as well. And then he got those pair of wins. That rookie looks really good. And let's be honest, he's got a lot of experience in a modified. He's got a pair of national championships in the Wissota Mod 4s. He knows how to win races. I mean, he knows how to win. And I tell you that I thought it was going to be Edgerton giving those guys fits. No, it's Mike Gressef giving those guys fits in that region.
Yeah.
Now, who's not? Who do you got? Who's not?
Well, Davenport has cooled. He didn't really show anything this weekend at the Show Me. He seems to have cooled. I've got a lot of wins, but he seems to be heading in the direction of colder rather than hotter. Even shots. I think 5th or 6th last night at Lawrenceburg, just can't sniff that 300. I mean, how long have we been talking about the 300th win? I know I made a comment in last week's show. They did the second most lapped lads, but that was heading into that weekend. So we raced last week, and now we raced this week. I mean, they had a rain out, but he just can't seem to snag that win. And then I'm gonna give the cool to all the local late models in Grand Rapids on Thursday night. I mean, they really got dominated. We had 4 heats. We had Kyle Peterlin, the only local to win a heat, and then Kyle Peterlin was also the top finisher at 5th. Massengill's turned some laps and won some races already. Vessel's turned some laps on Superior. Kyle's turned some laps, but they really kind of got stopped. And I don't know how often. I don't think those NLRA guys maybe sang. I don't know, had any of those guys even raced Rapids before? I think it was pretty new for them because it's not like they come over on Labor Day weekend. So I was kind of expecting our locals to really have a good shot, but it was kind of a cool reception at the opener there in Grand Rapids.
That's a good point. And even more cool than that is a guy like Jay Kittner who won the Wissota Classic who stayed home. He got a good paying show and even come. So that's a little bit more of a head scratcher. So who's not for me? Ricky Weiss. I'm going to keep it on Ricky Weiss. Now he did get a second at Eldora. Okay. They debuted, they got the new the new Sniper back on the racetrack. I think he had it down in Volusia, wrecked it, and he's not been running it since. But the fact is, it was a kind of a crappy second. I mean, Josh Rice drove away, and Josh Rice is basically another Bobby Pierce. He stuffed it in the fence leading type deal. He might have broke something. I didn't really see. Maybe a tire went down, but he stuffed it. Strickler was coming. He blew a motor. I don't know if you saw that in the 8 car. The really sharp-looking, ugly black 8 thing. And then Moran came from last, and he was coming. He was going to crack up inside the top 3. He was coming, and then he parked it in the fence and backpedaled there at the end. So Ricky was, 3.5 seconds or so behind the leader. He got second, but not real good. And I think it was a good idea for him to go there because there's a lot of money on the line this year at Eldora. So it was good for him to go there and get some laps. Now, another guy, Shane Edgerton, right? Man, I had high hopes for this guy. 6 for 6 last year. And it's not like he's looked terrible. Like he's been podium, he's been top 5s, he's been pretty good, but he's got to get a win. I mean, like we're partway into the season. He's got probably double-digit shows. He still hasn't parked it in victory lane. So, I expected the 5E to come down. I'm like, man, are we going to fade Dustin Strand a little bit here because Edgerton's going to come down? He's going to steal some wins. Now the rookie's making them both look dumb. And that leads me to number 3 is Dustin Strand. He got the 1 win in Grand Forks. He got a second where he wasn't very good. And he's just been not good. I mean, he looked really bad at I-94. He looked really bad in Grand Rapids. He looked really bad this last week at Grand Forks. I don't know what's going on with that 71 car. There's a guy last year we're talking about. He's top 3 in the whole power rankings area, and he's not even top 3 in his area right now, let alone the whole region. So Dustin Strand is really struggling, not looking good at all in 71. Now, I just want to make a point here. I called somebody out last week, right? It just happens to work that way. Like I said, Brandon Shepard, right, he was on my not hot list. Well, he got a win, right? One to go show magic. Brock Grunwald, I called him out not only on here but also on the power ranking show. He got 2 wins this weekend. So both of those guys, you're welcome, right? Puka can just go ahead, message the show. Puka can get you the address. Go ahead and send half your winnings to us. We'll take full responsibility. Now, let's get to the last lap, brought to you by Zuli's Race Engines, Puka. Now, before I get into that, so Frank Zuli sponsors some drivers, right? So, or not necessarily sponsors some drivers, but he builds engines. He's the guy that builds the engines for the 27 Pia Parker Anderson. Like, right there, flat out domination. Vogel, who had a pretty good weekend, he's up on the podium most of the weekend. He's got it. Matt Sparby on the 81X. He's got a Zuli engine. He won this weekend over in Bemidji. He parked in Victory Lane. Jake Knapper. He's got a Zuli race engine. He won over at Madison. I'm telling you, I mean, if you're not sure where to go for an engine, this guy's obviously building winning engines. And from the people that I talk to that have his stuff, he don't just build a good engine, but everybody I talk to speaks highly of him. They said he takes good care of them as well. So give Frank a call; he'll take good care of you. So let's get to it let's talk a little national news really quick, right? Did you watch any of the World of Outlaw sprints?
Yes.
So
watched it, the highlight reel. And then you talk about track with character and holes in it.
Yeah, touch on that a little bit. What did you see with the World of Outlaw? Of course, it rained out, right? The first one, Terre Haute, rained out. They were at Lawrenceburg on Monday night. What stuck out to you there, and who won?
Well, of course, the Larson domination. I mean, front row. And I was a little bit. Well, I guess I wasn't in a way, but I mean, I'm happy for Larson and everything. But when he passed for the lead, the whole crowd stands up. And I don't want the regular Outlaws to feel cheated, but everyone just loves Kyle Larson. But I think it's because he goes on the national stage and he's one of us, right? Like everyone can relate. Like we want the guy from dirt to succeed. We don't want the Matt Kent who raced tar their whole life or what have you. But yeah, track with a lot of character. Big hole coming out of 4. Pretty dusty, just a rigid. Looked like maybe it was just a windy day out there, but it was night racing. But like I said, shots just, I wouldn't say struggle butts, but like 5th, 6th place finish. And then who was it that caught him in the end there? Was it Madsen in second? I mean, he caught right. So,
Schuhart.
Logan Schuhart was. Yeah. But just he got on his bumper, but then Larson moved back to the top and kind of checked out because at one point he had a 3-second lead.
He was toying with them, right? Because he kind of slowed down. He went to the middle, and all of a sudden here comes Schuhart around the top. He poked his nose one time, and then he went back to the top and drove away again. It's like, yeah, see ya, right? And Brad Sweet, the big cat point leader, he barrel rolled it in the heat race, and he was back out for the feature, but he junked the car. So that was kind of it. The Kyle Larson show. Didn't he win the Coca-Cola 600 too?
Oh, I don't know. Did he?
Yeah.
So that would have been Sunday night. Really? Okay.
Yeah.
I followed Indy a little bit. I watched a little bit of Indy, but I didn't catch any of the Coca-Cola 600.
It was kind of funny because he led the most laps, and I think it was Jeff Gordon said, well, it's one thing, he's led the most laps, but usually when he leads that many laps, he doesn't win. Well, he had to eat crow at the end because he led the most laps and he won. So he had to eat crow on the end of that one. So speaking of sprint cars there, I don't know if you saw the video. I'm going to post it right now for the fans. This was great. Did you see the deal with the push truck driver? I don't remember where it was at. I should get that information. Maybe I'll post it in the comments. But the push truck driver was pushing it was a non-wing sprint car, and ended up like swinging a miss and drove right over his right side tires. It's like, oh my God. So in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, maybe that's an old super stock guy, late model guy. Maybe that's his way of saying you need to get a starter. This would not happen if you had a starter. I don't know if that was on purpose or an accident, but needless to say, that was not a good deal for that sprint car guy. An additional shot.
Let me add something here quick. Like I got a couple things to add here really quick. First off, for those, like I said, Ryan's playing the video. So if you're a podcaster only, jump on our YouTube page, jump on our Facebook page. You'll be able to see the stuff we were talking about. Granite City, you'll be able to see this.
Like, share. Share.
Yeah. So I had a couple things that I didn't tell you about that I added to the last lap here. So last weekend, not this one, but the last weekend at Port Royal, Cody Mallory showed up and was in Ricky Weiss's pit. So that was kind of interesting. So he goes from, what was he with Owens last year? And then Bobby starts the year. And now he's
he's with Strickler.
Yeah, or with Strickler. Yeah. So now I guess he was spotted in Weiss's pit. Update on Turbo. So I got word that it was not the IMCA license last weekend. It was deck height that he got nailed for. So that was something I saw online. So that makes a little bit more sense than the license. And then just something more local. Sudi Demjanovic passed away. I don't know if you saw that. He was Marcus's son, longtime racer, board member in Hibbing. I don't know if Sudi ever was. I mean,
a long time.
He was around a lot.
Sudi was vice president of the Iron Range Racing Association.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to give a shout out to the Demjanovic family because I know he did a lot for racing up here.
Absolutely. Now, another thing, a couple shout out. Well, another thing, speaking of late models, I did not realize that Devin Moran, who had been running good, fell off the Lucas Oil Series. Like he missed the week prior because I didn't even notice it till this week. I'm looking through the results at the Show Me. I'm like, no Moran. Well, that's weird. So I did not realize that Moran dropped off the series. That was interesting to me. You know, a couple shout outs. I want to give a huge shout out. Mike Reseth doubling up as a rookie in the late model. Stellar, Hermantown Hammer, 3 in a row. Dakota Duke Erickson, his first ever Wasota mod win. But how about a local guy from Chisholm? Doug Koski, feature winner down at the Cedar Lake Speedway. That's awesome. You know, it's a win is a win, and you know they still got some good cars, but Cedar Lake's it still is kind of the mecca of racing. So when you win at Cedar, regardless, you know it's a pretty cool deal. So you know he doesn't win as much as he used to. You know he's a little bit older now than he was a few years ago. But seeing the old 76 in Victory Lane was super cool. He was really pumped. You know, and let's talk a little bit about Huset's. You mentioned that Tad Pospisil, he got the win, and Jesse Glenn's. I mean, he put on a show. Honestly, the whole aura was good. The atmosphere was good. The racing, to me, not so good. I mean, he's just train racing around the bottom. And then even in the feature, they watered the bottom, and they were all kind of around the bottom. And they had a curb. I mean, the cushion on top was a curb, and there was a couple holes on each end. And Glenn's put on a hell of a show. I mean, he was doing everything he could to try to make a run at the leader. And he's like, I still think, even with that big cushion up there, if the holes wouldn't have been there, if I wouldn't have hit him wrong, I think I could have maybe won that deal. But Jesse Glenn's put on a hell of a show down there, and it was $6,000 to win, and it was $50 per lap led. So Pospisil won $8,000 in that deal. So pretty good payday for him. And you know, the Show Me. You know, let's just touch a little bit on the Show Me.
Hey, let's go back to Houston. How about Scott Ward? He was what, 4th or 5th? You know, he started.
He was right up there.
He started like 18th or something.
Yeah, and Giassi was up in the top 10. Yeah. And Chad Decker, he didn't make the show. In fact, you know, Morgan Ward kept him out of the feature in the B main. So I was a little disappointed. We keep talking about the 12B, but again, like he's got some wins, but he's just not looking like championship form. It'll be interesting to see with a lot of money on the line this weekend what he can do out west. But let's talk about the Show Me just really quick. You know, they obviously the night one rained out, so they had a double header on Friday. It was my cup of tea because it went till like 3-4 in the morning. I was perfectly good. And I'm like, man, this is kind of an unfair advantage for Scott Bloomquist because he's a night alt. He won a heat. Heck, I thought maybe he was going to win the prelim feature. But the prelims, you know, anything stick out to you special in the prelims there from the Show Me?
Nothing special. So what Ryan's referring to is Thursday night rained out. So they raced both prelim nights on Friday. T-Mac won the first one. I think that one was called the Cowboy Classic. That was pretty eventful. You know, he pretty much dominated. The other thing I noticed was another back pedal. I know he said he was kind of heating up, but that night it was a big back pedal for Bishop. And then night 2 was one of the memorial races. And that's where Bloomquist, you know, he looked better, and he was in the top 3 for most of the race. It was a restart. He kind of got squeezed out. They kind of went 3 wide down the front stretch. You think he knew a little bit better. It was a prelim, hit the brake.
Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, you know, he ran 3rd for most of that race. How about you on the prelims? What'd you think?
The story of the prelim night, you know, really, Hudson O'Neill kind of made a late charge there at T-Mac on the first one. He was not right on him, but he was kind of coming. But Ferguson, you know, 23rd to 3rd in that second one. That's where the track had some character. He was diamonding it. He was impressive. That was really fun to watch. And then, you know, then we jump into Saturday, and, you know, Hudson O'Neill is probably his first big crown jewel. You know, he's obviously super excited and a lot of emotion in Victory Lane. Good seeing that. Bishop really didn't have a bad week. I think he had a pair of 4ths, and then he got second in the big show. So Bishop actually looked pretty racy. Turbo doing turbo things. That was interesting. Did you see that?
Yes, but I didn't see how it happened. So if you were there or if you saw this, please comment, because all of a sudden the cameras pan over to 3 and 4 and Turbo's on his roof. But then later in the race, Turbo's getting lapped. What did you see?
Yeah, that's about what I saw too. I don't think it was a hard roll, but I mean, let's face it, most drivers now are soft. See, back 20 years ago, you rip the side of your car off, you'd be like, pull the tin off, let's go racing. Now it's like, I got a tire mark, I got to load up, like I'm done. I got to pull off, right? That's not Turbo. He's not afraid to chuck sliders, hit check, do whatever he's got to do. But he ended up upside down. He kept racing. They're like, flip it back over. Went in the pits. They looked it over. Yep, you're good to go. Let's go back. And the crowd went nuts. And it's like, that's Turbo. Turbo's a showman. Turbo's good for the sport. You can like him. You can hate him. You might not like his attitude. Don't care. He don't care either, right? But he's entertaining. That's entertainment value right there. And
remember when Earnhardt did that? When Earnhardt rolled, I think it was Daytona 500, didn't he? Rolled over. He said, "Hey," he got back in. He's like, "Hey, the thing runs right back into the lineup, and green flag. Here we go."
Well, my favorite rollover story is when Ron Jones drove for my dad, right? And there was contact. Him and Steve Vessel got together. Needless to say, Jones ends up upside down. Original restart, ripped the roof off, front tires towed out. They lifted up the back of the car to change the tire. And he won the Chuck Helmer Memorial over in Proctor by like half a track after rolling over. I'm like, oh my God, this guy's like my hero. It was the most amazing thing I ever saw. So if there was kids watching that, Turbo sold some shirts because they're like, oh my God, like Turbo rolled over and he's still racing. To a little kid, I mean, to me, that's still unbelievable, but that's really unbelievable to the fan base out there. So hats off to him. He's a hell of a showman, and we already talked a little bit about Eldora. Of course, Lanigan won. We talked about Weiss, but what else you got there on the show me? Anything else?
Yeah, one last thing there is Jake Tim. You saw he made the show. I mean, he started 32 cars. He was 32nd, but the weird thing is they paid him $150. So I don't know if it's because he didn't maybe not go on the track. Because I was looking through the pay. Most guys got around $2,000. Some got a little bit more, but Jake Tim, $150. So I thought that was really odd. But I mean, good for you, Jake. Made the trip against great competition. Made the show. I don't know how many cars they had, but
it was a co-sanctioned event with Lucas Oil Dirt Late Model Racing and the Lucas Oil NLRA. The only thing I'm thinking is he must have got some kind of a provisional through the MLRA deal to get in the show. Maybe, I'm guessing, is what happened. So yeah, he got the experience in that deal, and it'll be interesting to see what he can do this week. So our picks of the week. So last week, okay, I want to give a big shout out to Keith. Keith has been going all year. He can't pick nothing right. Like he had one right all year, right? This last week, he had Pat Dover, the Double One Express at Rice Lake. And then he had Jeffrey Massengill at Granite City Motor Park. Keith on the board with 2. And Pete also had the 6M at Granite City. So Pete went to 4. Keith went to 3. I'm at 12. Bert's at 8. Jeff and Pete are both at 4. Keith is now to 3. So now he's starting to get maybe a little stride here. And Puka is at, well, I guess there's not a number for
we won't talk about that.
Just a
place. So close. I pick Kent and he gets second. And I pick Daryl the night he wins. But it's the wrong track, and Moss is right there to go for the lead, and Rex and I. So
I had him too. Yeah, way to go, Moss. We both picked you and you screwed us. Way to go. Typical, right? So here's the deal. We have several races on the card this weekend here. And do you have your list in front of you? Because I'll just read off what we're going to pick. You can just read down what you're going to pick, and then I'll just kind of, instead of making a long drawn out deal, we're going to pick the World of Outlaw late models Friday at Circle City, Saturday at Plymouth. The World of Outlaw sprints, which they're going to the River City Speedway in Grand Forks, right? On Friday, the Granite City Motor Park in Sauk Rapids there on Saturday. And then the structural buildings with Soda Late Model Challenge Series, Huron, Aberdeen, Huron for $10,000 to win at Casino. So Puka, who do you have?
I've got, so Circle City Friday. And this has been tough because the World of Outlaws are going to be in Indiana. But there's a lot of rumors of a lot of guys going to test at Eldora on Saturday and just get some laps in. So, but I'm going with a local, the Indiana boy himself, Hudson O'Neill at Circle City, Devin Moran at Plymouth. So Woo Sprints, Grand Forks, who you got to take? Finally, his 300th win is finally going to come at his home track. Like I said, they're going to cheer so loud. It's going to be like a sonic boom. Donnie Schaas is going to take her home on Friday. Brad Sweet in St. Cloud on Saturday. Rosota Late Model Challenge Series Thursday. The aforementioned Chad Becker. He's gonna heat up. He's gonna be in the shop all this week. He's gonna take her home. Cole Searing, I like him Friday in Aberdeen. I'm going doubling up on Becker on Saturday for the 10,000 at Huron. And then the aforementioned hot Scott Ward, who won on Sunday at Casino. Like I said, top 5 last night at Huset's. I'm taking him at Watertown on Sunday. Who do
He
you
might
got?
have a couple. He might have a couple in a row out there. He's got 2 wins at Casino, so that's a good pick. I mean, he's won a ton of races there on the little bull ring. So I'm going to just go across the board like this. So obviously, we got the World of Outlaw late models Friday night at Circle City. I have Chris Smokey Madden. Jeff has Hudson O'Neill. Bert has Bishop. Pete has Madden, and Keith has Bishop. Saturday at Plymouth for the late models. I have Madden. Jeff has Bishop. Bert has Bishop. Pete has Madden, and Keith has Bishop. So a lot of high hopes there for Bishop and Madden over the week. You're the only one that kind of went off the cuff there, so to speak. World of Outlaw Sprints at the River City Speedway. I have the big cat, Brad Sweet. Jeff has Shots. Bert has Shots. You have Shots. Pete has Sweet. And Keith is going with Buggy Bobby, Sheldon Hodgson. World of Outlaw at Granite City. Now, let's be honest. This place is a lot flatter, slower type deal. I'm going with Shots at that one. I think I'm picking him to win at that one because that's more he's not maybe that elbows up guy like he used to be. Sheldon Hoddenchild for Jeff. Sweet for you and Bert. Carson Macedo for Pete and Sheldon for Keith. Huron, Thursday night, Challenge Series. I'm taking Showtime, Kent Arment. Jeff's taking Becker. Bert's taking Becker. You're taking Becker. Okay, a lot of love for Becker. I'm a little apprehensive on that one.
Oh, Becker!
This stomping grounds over there. Pete is going with Pat Dorr. Pete, I'm sorry, but Pat Dorr is not going. Okay? I talked to him today. And Keith is taking, actually, I'm just going to go right down the list here. Keith took Jeffrey Massengill to sweep the weekend. He's like, I'm just keeping it simple. I'm picking the local guy. I want Massengill to win. I'm taking him for all. Okay, so Massengill, do Keith a solid here. Get him some points. Get him back up in the mix. Okay, Aberdeen, I'm going with Arment. He is really tough to beat at the Brown County Speedway. Jeff's taking Arment. Bert is taking Dorr. Again, bad news. Dorr's just not going. You took Searing. Pete took Edgerton. That's a question mark on that one. I think he's going to run the NLRA deal. And then Saturday for the $10,000 to win, I'm going to go ahead and take the Hermantown Hammer, Daryl Nelson, to win $10,000 out in Huron. And Jeff, Bert, and Puka are all taking Chad Becker. Pete is taking John Canta. And then at the Casino Speedway, you and I both took the Wild Child, Scott Ward. Jeff took Edgerton. Bert and Keith took the 6M of Massengill, and Pete took Kent Arment to get it done out there. So with that said, that gets us through our picks of the week. Again, I'm at 12. Bert's at 8. Jeff's at 4. I have a little bit of a wiggle room here, right? Let's jump down. I'm looking at my list here. The must-see events of the week. Okay, lots of racing, lots of stuff going on. Puka, what sticks out to you for your must-see? Give me your 3, with everything going on this weekend, what's your 3 go-tos? If you had a choice to either watch it online or go to it, what are the 3 that stick out to you?
Well, that old saying, head west, young man, head west. Head west to Grand Forks on the bull ring. The place will be absolutely jammed. Like I said, Donnie's going his 300th. It's always exciting out there. If you haven't seen it, I mean, I haven't seen a World of Outlaw sprint car race there, but your heart almost beats out of your chest when you see the NOSA sprints out there. So it's fantastic. Hoping that Dobmeyer, I don't know if he's racing yet or if he's back, hoping Dobmeyer will be there. I like Dobmeyer over Reitzel if he is there. So for those of you doing dirt drafts, of course, the Challenge Series races, I have my eyes on that. I love that swing. That swing's been around for a long time. They've been doing that, gosh, I think almost 10 years. So I'm excited for the Challenge Series races. And then, like I said, I'm interested to see who's going to end up at Eldora on Saturday night to test, because we got $127,000 to win, twice next week. They're doing the 2020 show and they're doing the 2021 show. So much money online. You just got to think, especially the Lucas guys. That's why I said I went on a little bit of a limb to pick Moran. I mean, he's not a Lucas guy anymore. He's kind of free to do it. So he's free to go to Eldora too. But, just to kind of see who's going to be there to test things out on Saturday night at a regular show.
Yeah, and with Lucas not racing, they're going to get a bunch of those guys for sure. So the World of Outlaw guys, it'll be interesting to see how that works out. My number 1 on the list is right with yours. I mean, the World of Outlaw sprint cars at the River City Speedway in Grand Forks. I mean, that's a must-see TV right there. Plus, you have the NLRA late models, and if you remember, Dustin Strand had the photo finish to win that deal last year. I think he passed Lance Schill at the line. And then if you remember Kyle Larson, remember he got basically spun out, went through the infield, right, put on the show, came back and won. That place has some really good racing. Specifically out west, the 10,000 to win show, right? When we talk about specials, you put a 5-figure payday out there, you got my attention. So Huron, out at the Dakota State Fair Speedway Saturday night, that will be on Dirt Race Central, watchdrc.tv. And then my third one, the Rebel Midwest Mod Tour at the I-94 Sure Step Speedway in Fergus Falls. They have the King of Dirt this weekend, the Dick Johannick Memorial. I think it's Friday, Saturday, or Saturday. So it's a doubleheader, regardless. I think it's Friday, Saturday over there. Pretty positive that it is. That is also on watchdrc.tv. One more. I'm going to cheat a little bit. I'm throwing one more in the mix here. The Red Cedar Speedway on Friday has the Dave Shackleton Memorial, 5,000 and change to win WISSOTA Superstocks. So wow, big payday for the Superstocks. I don't know what the rest of the pay looks like the rest of the way through, but let's face it, if you're a hitter, if you win some races, if you're competitive, you don't get to race for 5,000 to win very often in the Superstock. Hopefully that's a good turnout over there at the Red Cedar Speedway in Menominee. So with that said, what are your plans for the week? Are you going to take in any racing in person this weekend?
I just plan on keeping it simple. I'll do Rapids on Thursday. Looks like it's gonna be a hot one. Last week we were, pushing 30 degrees at 9 at night. Supposed to be close to 90, and then then the plan is to hit Hibbing on Saturday. How about you? Back to Sycamore with the big crowd?
I'm heading west. I'm gonna grab the mic this weekend. I'm heading out west. I'm gonna be out So Thursday and Saturday, I'm going to be at the Dakota State Fair Speedway in Huron. I'm going to be announcing the broadcast on Dirt Race Central. Casino Speedway, I'm going to be co-announcing with Dave Nurmi on Sunday. Friday, I think I'm probably going to go taking maybe a round of golf with a few buddies of mine out there. I'm taking Friday off out there. But I'm heading west this next weekend, so it's going to be hot out there too. That sun's going to be beaten down. I'm going to have to wear black. Maybe I can lose one of my chins. I don't really know. But I'm excited to get out there. Some great people, great racing out there, of course, and fun to jump online. Jump on Dirt Race Central, and you can tell me how bad I am. There's some really good announcers out there. I figured I'm kind of average. I'm definitely no Freddie Fran, Ron Krogh, Chris Stepp, and some of them guys are really good. I'm still kind of catching up with them guys. Hopefully I do someday. I have a hell of a lot of fun doing it though. So Puka, with that said, episode 82 in the book, and probably hurt some feelings this episode. Still love you guys. Just it is what it is, right? We're here to tell the truth. We ain't lying. This is our feelings. This is our opinion.
We're here to help.
If you do something really exciting, we're gonna give you a shout out. If you do something really dumb, we're gonna call you out. So either way, we're watching. And we're going to keep people informed because that's what we do. So, Puka, take her home, buddy.
Yeah. Keep everyone honest here. Yeah, so like I said, we're at the end here. So if you enjoyed it, please share the show. If you want to communicate with us, obviously you can comment or theonetogoshow@gmail.com. Thanks again to Zuli's, Dirt Race Central, and Dirt Track Supply for all your help. I'm Puka. That's Ryan. On behalf of both of us, get out there and be your dream. You're tuned to the One to Go Show.
Like, share.